Hello, this is Panashi Mahako, and this is the first recording of Primates with Pants On. And for the very first episode, we have a very important guest. We have Oleh Popov over here with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And I had thought about icebreakers, just to get us comfortable. But I felt like last night was a very long icebreaker that we had. It was a very exciting time and actually pretty sad for all of us because you've been such a very big presence in all of our lives, in my life as well. The very fact that we're having this podcast right here, right now, is because of you. Because I don't even know how many years I've been saying I'm going to do a podcast, but I never actually did it. And I just want to thank you for everything and setting me straight and putting me on a very good path. I really appreciate you, and thank you for what you've done for me.
Great. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here with you.
And I'm the manager here on my show, so I'll be telling you what to do. So Ole, why don't you just give us a quick introduction to who you are and your journey so far?
So I think it all started when I was in Ukraine. I was born back in 1994, which is like 3 years only when the Soviet Union broke down.
Oh, okay.
And it was South Ukraine. It's a small town. That's where I took off. Then, in a while, basically I was wandering around, doing things, typical things I was expected to do. Finish school and then go to work and go to factory. So both of my parents are factory workers. So since I know myself, it's always been the case. And it was like the path for me as well. And everyone was expecting me to do the same thing. And then I, let's say, stumbled upon a couple of things. I kind of discovered self-development or self-improvement was a very interesting thing for me, that the person can change himself or herself into like unrecognizable thing. So if I meet my people from school, from like high school, they would never think of me as the person where I am or who I am right now. Yeah. And I finished 5 universities, so I took 5. Yeah, so I took, yeah.
I can't even handle one.
Yeah, I decided that I'm going to dedicate myself to studies, and it took me 7 years to go through all those things. So I got 5 separate degrees. And then I started to, let's say, explore other things. I started to learn the languages. And then after finishing the education, then I realized that I want to travel. And then I traveled the world, so to say. I was hitchhiking through like Austria, Hungary, Slovakia. And then I was traveling, I was studying in Poland, I was working in Germany, I was living in North Macedonia. Then I was working in Germany for like a year, writing international projects for students that were financed by European Union. And then after that, I was brought to one of the things that I'm doing right now. We're both working in logistics. Yeah. And then I decided that this is the path that is aligned with what I think my life purpose is. And that's what I'm undertaking right now. There's a bunch of things going on in the life, but that's a short, brief story about myself. We can talk about that in detail, explore that thing later on.
5 universities, I think that's like the thing that caught me. Which types of degrees did you do?
So I did a bunch of them. Yeah. One was, and the first one that I encountered was social work. And then I decided that this is not my thing. It's like when you're coming into a big canteen, like in a big restaurant, and you see, let's say, infinite amount of dishes. And then people expect you to come into this place and then pick one dish and love it for the rest of your life, like your education or your work. And then I decided to taste other things. So I thought that English would bring me where I want to be. So I kind of discovered what I want to do in life and why. And then I thought what kind of things that I need to get there. So methods or techniques or things that would bring me to where I want to go. So I decided to take English, basically English language and literature. That's the second thing that I started to explore. Then I figured that everyone has to know economics, or at least some basics of economics and management. So I took management, so I get master's in management. Then I got public administration as another degree that I got, and I got like translation or interpretation from different languages. That's mostly English and German. So those are 5 things that I kind of delved into.
All right. I see that you say that your parents are all factory workers, so maybe they're not having as much income to finance all these degrees. I'm curious as to how did you go about enrolling and finding the resources to embark on all these degree programs.
So for me, it was important when you realize why you want to do or you want to go to some certain place, then you kind of find hows and what you need to do. Then we had an opportunity in universities to go for a work and travel program to the United States, and then we had like working programs to Germany. So every summer that I took off from my school, and then I went to the United States. The program was called Work and Travel. For me, the program was called Work and Work. So I basically hustled. I worked at two jobs, and then sometimes third as a like side hustle thing. So I just accumulated a bunch of resources. At the time I was making, in 2 days I was making what one of my parents were making in 1 month. So there was quite a huge amount with that exchange rate and inflation adjusted and everything. And I realized, damn, if I would be like traveling right now, I would be spending resources like months of my parents' lives. If you think of it from this perspective, you start to realize that those resources are really, really important things in life that can buy you time or your parents' time or other things in you. And then I decided to accumulate them, not travel at all. And then I brought them back home and I could afford myself those educations. So I just put them all into self-improvement in terms of formal education and other things that I started to do.
All right. We alluded at the beginning of the episode, you are leaving us, but not everyone would know like where you're going. What's the next step in your hero journey?
So I've decided I had an opportunity to go to the United States. It's one of the countries where I've already been, and I think it has pretty a good deal of opportunities ahead. So that's where I decided to move. I have an opportunity to stay here in Poland, where we are right now, to be in comfort, which is a quite comfortable place for me. But I decided to undertake this journey of going into nothingness, or because I don't have, let's say I barely have any friends in the United States, so maybe I would say a couple, really. And then I pretty much don't know people. The resources that I have don't mean anything in there, because that's just a new fresh start for me. And I decided to take this leap, even though I was pretty comfortable where I am.
It looks like throughout your journey you have known what you want to do, and you've always undertaken new challenges at every single step. And the way you say it, it kind of dilutes the whole journey. It makes it look like it was easy. Were there any like tough points in your journey that you want to dive deeper into? Points where you kind of doubted yourself and you had to dig down deeper to pull through?
I would guess everyone has those tough moments. That nobody is safe from this. Even when it seems like that, maybe your parents protect you from things, or maybe some other finances that protect you from things, but then you encounter some rough circumstances and life just comes around the corner and slaps you in the face so hard that you cannot get up for like a year or something, or you had a depression, or any one of us gets sick and relatives die, and it just encounters everyone. And then also the whole process of going somewhere is incredibly hard. So I'm just stumbling through. I'm trying to figure out the things. I'm getting better at adapting to new things, especially when I'm moving around. So I guess the most important thing, there were a bunch of things that that I was seeking, and there were a lot of obstacles on the things. But if you think it from the perspective of this obstacle, if you kind of pass through it, you cut off 90% of, say, competition, because the harder the thing gets, the more, let's say, people are start stumbling and turn around and never go further away. I wouldn't think that necessarily you would have to like compete and think of the competition like among other people that are going some way. I would rather have myself compete with me But the thought of it is that people still compare themselves to other people, no matter how hard they say they don't, or let's say they think they don't, they still behave in a way that they're very competitive and things of that nature. So, yeah.
I think we have talked about this journey, outside the cameras before, and you described, working in a strawberry plantation. Was that the hardest thing that you had to do, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was the hardest and the best thing that I've ever done, I would say. Even though I was working quite a bunch of summers when I was like young, say 15 years old to like 20 years old. My stepdad, he's like a construction worker. He still is, so they're kind of having their own company. So I was helping every summer. I was doing construction, and I was doing pretty much everything, like, I don't know, carrying things, bags with cement and all of those things. Pretty heavy job, pretty challenging, and but the strawberries is just another level. That's something was very, very strange experience for me, and the best, I would say, because I was going there in Germany. It was one of those summers when I took a break to make money for myself, and then when I came there, then you have a very strict schedule. You have to get up at 3 a.m. So at 3:45 you're already in the field, crouching on your knees, and then the job was like you did this till 6 p.m. every day, and you had like maybe an hour break in the whole thing. The rest you were just spinning on your knees, and even if you had like knees protection and everything, it wouldn't help. You feel like it's very painful in your body. And also the region where I was extremely rainy. So you have those protective suits that you are wearing so the rain doesn't go in. But then it still finds its way in when you're like staying there for like 10 hours and it goes into your neck, and then it flows over your body, and then you're like swimming inside in this mud on your knees for like 10 hours. And then you come home after that, you're exhausted, you don't even want to eat, you just want to like rest. And then you take off your clothes, and then you just do this, and you squeeze everything. It's so horrible. Your knees are like, you cannot feel them in the end of the day. Your skin becomes so rough that you don't feel the sensation. So you touch things, but you don't even like think you touch things. It doesn't feel that way. So, and a bunch of those things happened in that field. We were working like 6 days a week and sometimes 7. This is kind of job that I think everyone should take, that teaches you the value of money. So I figured out how hard it is to get money in those summers and those construction sites. Then I started to value it more, and I started to gain the experience and skills that are necessary to figure out how to get money, to get into those positions of being in the field the whole day. Even though I kind of I respect every time I see the strawberries in the supermarket. I can barely hold my tears because I realize how much effort was put into collecting those things. And I'm guessing we're still pretty far away from the drones or some mechanic thing picking them up. So there's still people out there right now as we speak picking those strawberries. So it was very tough and rough, but I think it was one of the best things, one of the best lessons, hardcore lessons that I learned, the practical value of money, and then how I started to stimulate myself to figure out the ways how to do it with your brains rather than with your hands.
I still hold dear that feeling, the thought, the experience, and it also pushes you through maybe when you're doing hard work like now, but you feel like it's not the same, like level of commitment and bodily sacrifice, and you're like grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm thinking right now, when I go through work, I'm committing to things more. When I'm doing my work right now, I'm doing logistics. So I realized the value of it, and when I put in the effort, I realized that this is nothing comparing to what I did in the field. So I can do more. I definitely could. So put more effort, put more thought into it, put more energy into it. And this commitment even, it doesn't stand even close to what has been there. So this is I'm like, okay, this can be much worse. You have to put in effort.
I see. All right, so thank you for that. And I think we're going to take a small break, and we're going to come back and discuss Oleh's thoughts on different topics that you're going to find interesting. So stay tuned. Thank you.